Welcome to this episode of the Growthcast. You are joined here today with Jackson Campbell and Dallas Pruitt for another extended cut episode. Very excited to be here with Dallas to follow up on the last topic that we'll be talking about on the book of the month, which was Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. Today we're going to be talking about Will, not Will on our team, not Will, the badass who helps produce the podcast, but Will in the sense of perseverance.
Although
and,
we should have him on
resilience.
to talk about this with his recent experience in running his marathon out with BPN.
100%. Huge shout out to Will for his will in training and getting ready for that marathon that he just crushed. Came in way under his goal, which was incredible. Will's an incredible individual. If you guys don't know who Will is, definitely connect with Will. He's an incredible guy. But anyway, let's dive into our podcast today, which is about Will when it comes to being resilient and perseverance. Dallas, we've talked about obstacle is the way. We've covered perception. We've covered taking action. And today we're going to talk about perseverance and resilience. Why do you think that I believe that this is the most important principle when it comes to that book of Obstacle is the Way and running into obstacles and understanding that obstacles really hold the best experiences and how you can become who it is that you're trying to become. Why do you believe that perseverance or will is an important principle and one that we decided to wrap up with?
Yeah. Oh, man, that's a really loaded question.
It was a long question. I'm sorry.
Well, and it's just loaded because there's so much to unpack with why is will, perseverance, resilience like so crucial. And I think, simply put, life is just freaking hard. Like, that's probably why. I don't care what way you cut it. Life's hard for everybody. It is.
And no matter what path you decide to walk down, there's going to be difficulties. All right, they're gonna be there.
You know,
so like having that willpower to push through those obstacles and find the positivity, dude. Like it's what you have to do. Yeah. In order to really get what it is that you're trying to do. I know this all sounds so basic, but it's so true. It's like endurance as well, right?
Yeah.
It's enduring the hard things.
Can I talk about what I did today? Like with this?
Yes.
So like I went for a 10-mile run today. In prep, speaking of marathon prep, I was inspired by our man Will, and I have chose to go run a marathon, my first one ever, and I went on a 10-mile run today. And I got home, and my wife was like, "Good job, honey." I was like, "Thanks, sweetie." She's like, "How was it?" I was like, "It was good." And she could tell I was a little tired, and I was like, if I had to go 10 more, I could have, but I didn't want to. And today, I didn't want to today. But I know I could, but I didn't want to. And so she was like, "What are you going to do next time?" Or like, what's your process look like for next week? And I was like, well, I've got to go on, a 13 to 14 miler is my long run next week. And I was like, and I can tell endurance wise, getting to 10 was great, but I could feel myself getting stressed out, if you will, about this in between 10 and 20. This big gap to turn around and do what I did today on a dime. That just didn't sound fun at all. It sounded hard and unpleasant, and so many other things, right? And I was getting distracted too, right? Like I had created my window, so I was already starting to drift and think about other things outside the run as I came to the tail end. And it's just like such a good metaphor or analogy for like what we're talking about, because had somebody put a gun to my head and said, "Dude, you got to turn around and go do that 10 again," I would have done that 10. I can do that 10. I'm in great shape right now. Mm-hmm. I just didn't want to. Right. I wasn't going to. Right? I had told myself I will run 10 miles today. When I hit 10, I was done. And I thought it was so interesting because, like, before when we were prepping for today's episode, dude, remember, Jax, I was like, will's an interesting word because it speaks to the future tense and it also speaks of inevitability. And I had told myself this week I will run 10 miles on Thursday. I hit 10, and guess what? I told myself I was going to run 10, and I ran 10. But that stuff after, it's like, screw that shiz. I ain't doing more than 10. I told you I was only going to do 10. Had I said I will run 15, I probably would have ran 15.
Right.
I've told myself next week I will run 13 to 14 miles on Tuesday. I will run 13 to 14 miles on Tuesday, guaranteed. But what's crazy about this word is if I told myself I will run 20 miles on Tuesday, I would run 20 miles on Tuesday. But I'm not going to. I'm also trying to be strategic and build up, right, and conserve energy and all this stuff. Yep. But it's just interesting because I put on here, will is a super powerful word. It can propel us towards whatever it is. It will prepare us, or it's a propellant. Like, it will send us towards something. But if we speak it too soon, it's weird because it can really, like, create a mental problem.
Yeah.
And that's been a super, like, interesting thing about my experiences in life when I've said I'm going to do something, and then I almost said it too soon without taking into account everything that goes into that. It's almost has a negative impact or a detrimental impact. And so what I've learned is that saying I will is like, it's my word. It's a promise. And I want to be able to be somebody who fulfills on promises that they make, right? Keep those promises. So if you can't uphold or keep the promise, again, there's some tough processing that happens. But that's why, I don't know, just to speak to the word, and we're going to get to perseverance and resilience, the word will is a super powerful word. It's extremely powerful.
It's amazing. I loved how you said it's a commitment that you make with yourself, right? And I loved how you talked about it can either propel you towards the future because you're talking with inevitability. You're saying it's going to happen. It will happen. But you're also kind of making a self-promise. You're making a promise with yourself that if you don't do it, it happens to send you down that mental spiral of, oh, why didn't I do what I was going to say? And then you start creating a habit of not doing what you say you will do. Right? So it's a very interesting thing that can lead down a negative road, but it can also lead to a super positive road and a very positive outcome. Just strategically using that word, it's the integrity with yourself, right?
Absolutely.
It's building that integrity. Yeah.
Well, maybe we come back to, resilience. Like, you were talking about resilience and perseverance. And Dallas. I called you Tyler. Recorded with him yesterday. I apologize. Yeah, you're recording all the time. I can see how that would happen.
Dallas, how do we develop resilience and perseverance so when we do say I will do something, no matter the speed bumps or roadblocks that could come up, how do we develop resilience and perseverance so we can do what we say we're going to do?
Yeah, I will speak to one thing and then I want to go through like 4 or 5 different points, but one of the most important things you can do to build resilience and perseverance is to choose hard on purpose. So that's kind of like one of the main reasons I've decided to run a marathon, is because given the circumstances of my life, goals that I have, things that I'm processing through, life is hard and I just want to build some fortitude and in preparation for other hard things, right? And so I chose to run a marathon. That was part of my why as to why I'm running a marathon, right? Because it does build endurance. It does build resiliency. It does build perseverance, not just in the sense of running, right? Those are transferable skills, and I want to be able to attach those things to my family life, navigating the business front, growing in those 2 facets, everything. I mean, it's a great metaphor, and it's a great platform to be able to go like transfer those skills. So, but I think there's some really important things here. Choose something hard on purpose regularly is a great way to build perseverance and resilience.
Well, real quick, I just want to add to that. Choosing hard things and then doing them to completion.
Yes.
Is what's going to help you build resilience and perseverance, right? Like doing hard things and then not finishing them, that's not going to benefit you in any way. So do hard things that you're going to finish.
Yeah. So like, I am going to run a marathon by X date, right? Like, give a timeline and close that little goal. It might not be a little goal, but right? Like, close that thing out. Give yourself an end point with it so that you know it's closed out and you're not just doing random things that are hard, right? Just hoping it'll work, right? So, absolutely. But other practical strategies for developing resilience and perseverance is these are in no particular order, building a support system as you tackle life and your goals. Find you a circle of influence that not only will be real with you, that's important. You want people who are going to be real with you and not just like pat you on the back, but also that you can be real with them, right, about your struggles. And I think that's a two-way street with that inner circle. And
100%.
something that I've learned, and I want to actually learn a lot more of, is get a coach. Get a coach. Get somebody in your corner who can help you process through that hard thing. I have unofficial coaches who have coached me through some really hard situations over the course of the last few years. You're one of them.
Right.
But there's a lot of other names that come to mind. They were unofficial, but I do believe going and getting an actual official coach in a specific realm that you are tackling on purpose, that you know is going to be hard, but that you can bring into that picture and help you process through it is a very, very beneficial component that will propel you to more growth. So an emotional coach, a nutritional coach, a coach for whatever the hell it is you're tackling.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, absolutely. What else, Dal? What else can we do to help us really develop that resilience and perseverance?
So I think looking back is really important too, right? Like reflection on your failures, not just like reflection, but like with a specific purpose of looking through hard things that you've been through prior, right? You might not always recognize that in the thick of it, but like you've come a long way. And so looking back and recognizing the failures that you have had, the mistakes that you've made, the hard situations you've been through, and how far you've come, that's extremely impactful in building confidence in your ability to be resilient and overcome obstacles. So looking back on purpose to your failures and your mistakes and writing those things down is extremely, and how you've become better, how you've grown, how you've become resilient, right? The resiliency you demonstrated in navigating that tough situation. It's one of the easiest tactics to deliver on. Pull out a freaking piece of paper and write those things down. Reflect back on purpose. Don't just reflect and like stifle yourself and just go into a spiral. Reflect back on purpose, and that would be one of those purposes there. Something I've done for quite some time now, journaling. I don't probably talk about it enough because it's a huge part of my work and a huge part of me. I journal every day. I journal every day, and I have for years. But I didn't for years too. And the second I started to reflect back on purpose, with purpose, and put those things on paper with purpose, right, it just transformed my life. It transformed my life because it opened my mind to all these blind spots, to all these things I didn't know about me, what I'm capable of, what I've been through, what I can do, what I love, all these different things, right? Just discovering myself. Journaling is a super important tactic. Setting achievable goals and tracking progress. We kind of already talked about that right? When you choose hard, set an achievable goal, and then track progress. Give yourself an endpoint with it. Staying motivated through positive self-talk. But I'd go as far to say that it's just even no talk is productive sometimes with that. I get kind of leery sometimes of positive self-talk because it's super hard to be positive all the time. And it's also it can be detrimental if we're not careful, if we're just positive all the time about hard situations. Yeah.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly with you. I think it comes back to what we were just talking about with Will, right? If you're trying to be so positive all the time and then you're not positive, that's detrimental to your mental mindset of the positivity that it could be. If you're I'm positive, and then you're not positive, the actions don't precede what it is that you're saying or your thoughts, dude. It's detrimental to what positivity could do to you. 100%, dude. 100%. I was talking with Tyler yesterday on the podcast that we did, and he talked about what you just said. He went into depth about how it's almost just as impactful to not say anything negative than it is to be positive all the time. One thing that I pulled from it is because you're living in reality, right? It's not that you're not addressing things that may be happening that are negative, but it's that you're realizing that you can't control those negative things. So to put any thoughts, actions, energy towards that is detrimental to your growth or whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. Yeah. Right? It's not that you're being blind to it. It's that you're not focusing on it by complaining about it.
Totally.
And I thought that was super impactful.
It's very impactful. And, with the whole talk thing, it's really easy to fall into a trap of doubting. And I wouldn't even say doubt is a trap. I would say doubt is normal. Normal people doubt. They experience self-doubt, meaning everybody does. Everybody experiences self-doubt. Everybody experiences feelings of inadequacy and fear, right? It's understand. Go ahead.
No, dude, everybody does have that feeling of what's the word? Sorry.
Inadequacy. Yeah.
Inadequacy or doubt in their own self-belief, right, dude? Everybody has that. But when you think about it and you focus on it, all that you're doing is reiterating to your brain that that's the truth.
You're giving
and
power
that's
to
exact. It. You're giving power to it, and you're reiterating and creating habits within your brain that you don't even realize that lead down the path of you actually believing that, and that actually preceding the actions that you take.
Totally.
Right. So, dude, it's exactly along those lines.
It seems really simple, but it's instead of allowing yourself to just feel all of that and focus on the emotion that you're feeling, right? Instead, feel it. You still need to allow yourself to feel it. There's really no getting around it. You're going to feel it either way. Confront it with action. That's one of those ways to build resiliency and perseverance is just confront that feeling of let it come in and then go confront it with action. You're not going to beat it with thought. I can guarantee you that. Right? Again, that's where the positive talk stuff gets tricky because it's like
so
you want to psych yourself out and be like, no, I'm not scared. No, I can do this. No, and it's like the only way to do it is to literally do it. And so the best thing you can do is just feel it. And instead of psyching yourself out, just confront it with action. Don't confront it with words. Just confront it with action, whatever that action is that you need to do. It was kind of like running today. It's like, dude, I kept telling my wife, I was like, I woke up and I was like, the long run days, sometimes I'm jacked and sometimes I just don't want, it's uncomfortable.
You're just,
right?
deflated. Yeah.
It's like it was a long night yesterday, whatever. I woke up this morning. I woke up early, dude, and I came up with an excuse. And I was like, I'm going to switch up my morning routine today, and I'm going to read. And I filled it with things, and I was like, I'll run in the afternoon when it warms up on my lunch break. And so then the afternoon hit, and it was like there was no more excuses, but I found myself feeling like something, fear, whatever, right? Doubt, whatever it was. Like I think it was more so just fear of the 10 miles. And I just put my earbuds in. I still felt it. I still felt it when I went to go run. And I looked at my wife and I was like, I do not want to run this today. Like, I literally don't want to run 10 miles today. And she was like, really? She's like, usually you're like pumped about it. As I know. I was like, I know, but like today I just don't want to run 10 miles. Like, it sounds grueling today. It's probably because it's cold too. It was cold today. And
because it is grueling.
Yeah, I felt it. I still felt it. And I turned the voices off in my head of justification and whatever else it pops up as. And, dude, I just confronted it with action, which is like step by step. Put your earbuds in. Pick a podcast. Sip on your freaking electrolytes before you bounce. Go out to the porch. Stretch. I wasn't thinking about all the steps that come after that. I was just focused on like step, 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 step. And as I took action, step, 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 guess what happened?
It gets easier.
The fear just kind of started to dissipate. But I was letting the 10 miles consume me. Like, all those 10 miles were consuming me. And all I needed to focus on was getting my stupid earbuds, picking a podcast, taking a sip of my electrolytes, putting my shoes on. Confront it with action. Confront it with action, little by little. Confront it with action, little by little. That's how you attack it. You don't psych yourself out with words. You don't psych yourself out by self-talk. I'm not robbing self-talk. I'm not robbing like affirmations, but I am telling you that the best tactic I've ever experienced, learned, and seen from other high-level people is just confront stuff with action. And that is like little action by little action by little action by little action, and it all just adds up. So, anyways.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so good. It's so good, man. I couldn't agree with you more, dude. Your motivation, your affirmations don't mean shit unless you're taking action behind what those affirmations are, right? Alex Hormozy said you don't get self-belief or confidence. I'm probably messing up this quote, but he said something to the lines of, you don't get confidence, you don't gain your self-belief, you don't grow your belief in yourself by yelling affirmations in the mirror. You grow belief in yourself by a stack of undeniable actions and things that you've done, proof that you are who you say you are, or what those affirmations are that you're saying, right? Yeah. You don't gain that by saying it. You gain that by doing it. The action that precedes whatever it is. I couldn't agree with what you're talking more, especially when it comes to resilience and perseverance, dude. Doing what you say you will do is how you gain that will, that perseverance and that resilience is by taking action and doing what you say you're gonna do. That's how you gain it, dude. Along with all these other things that you've talked about.
Can I point something else out that we didn't even talk about too?
Yeah.
That's kind of like in totality, okay? This is outside the outline for today.
Love it. Let's go.
Building resiliency and perseverance, right, doesn't come by way of an easy life. And so why is this such an important topic? Why is it such a hot button? Well, because I've talked about this before, but life is just too damn easy if you allow it to be, right? And so many people seek riches, seek material success because that's what they want in the end, is this easy cush experience post all the hard work. Or the opposite end is they never seek any of those things because they want a life of ease. So why would they strive for those things because of all the work that would be required to get there? It can happen on both ends, right? And what I'm trying to point out here with this, Jax, and all listeners, is like, just weed out the preference of having a life of ease. Like, Hard is relative.
Yeah.
Hard is different for everybody. But don't hold on to this. Let go of this desire to have a life of ease. If anything, go out and try to build something that's just not that easy to build. A happy family is not an easy thing to build.
Yeah, dude, and
Thriving
a
business
life of ease.
Go ahead.
Really quick, on a life of ease is not an enjoyable life either. It's not a life that brings fulfillment and joy and happiness.
Because where does that stuff come from? It comes from problems.
Mm-hmm.
Happiness sprouts from problems.
Solving the problems, right? But yeah,
happiness comes from the solving of problems.
The solutions of building something new, of growing.
Absolutely. So if you want a better life, choose to tackle better problems every day. And if you do that, then you will continue to build up a life and a person. You will become resilient. You will persevere. Yeah, go ahead.
So powerful what you just said. You want a better life, solve better problems. Yeah. And I think that that's so impactful.
Well,
if you want a better life, solve better problems. With those better problems comes difficulties. It does. And that's why perseverance and willpower and resilience is so important. And that's how you grow it, is by doing those things, dude. Dallas, so good, man. Anything else you want to add here as we wrap up?
Yeah, I'll close out with this. This was what I wrote down earlier in the week. I wanted to pull it up because I couldn't remember it word for word. But it starts with better values. Better values equal better problems, and better problems equal a better life. Better values. And we could do a podcast on that one day. I won't dive into better values. But yes, better problems produce a better life. And, success, happiness, fulfillment, these things are byproducts, right? These are side effects of leaning into problems and solving them. And resilience and perseverance are also those side effects that happen, right? The byproducts of leaning into problems and solving them and choosing to solve problems and choosing not to complain. We are just literally a stack of choices. As a person, that's all you are, is just a big stack of choices. Boom, 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 boom. And we're all just making choices every day. We're just choosing. Choose. And I think one of the best choices we can make is to choose to lean into problems and work them and solve them and choose not to bitch and complain about them. And it's a good reminder for me today. It's a good reminder for all of us that that's just really easy to do. It's really easy to complain about how messed up the world is. What's really hard is to lean in and try to help make a better one, cultivate a better one, because there's a lot of problems to solve, right? So yeah, I just choose to be that person, choose to be that kind of person, value that too, right? We talk about better values, value that, value problems. They're the lifeblood of your happiness. Value problems. Don't bitch about them. Value the problem, because again, that's where happiness sprouts from, is the solving of those problems. So value them. Problems are very valuable, right? That's why, talk about mindset. Approach your day that way. See what happens.
So good. Dallas, thank you so much for your time and your wisdom and for the things that you shared today. I love the way that this episode kind of unfolded and the things that we covered today. Again, just wrapping up for the book of the month. I guess we'll have one more episode next Saturday.
We got changes of brewing too, by the way. We got changes of brewing.
We do.
Not to
we do
get
have
too
some
far
changes of brewing.
and too deep, but next month will be the last month of book of the month. That's all we're gonna say. That's all we're gonna say.
That's all we'll say. That's all we'll say for now. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review if you have not already. We appreciate you. We love you. Have a great rest of your day, night, evening, whatever time it is that you're listening to this. Take care, y'all.